Hello, gore horrors and fellow Deadites. I am Brendan, and welcome to our Life in Horror. Today, I have a very special episode. I will be having a physical media discussion with Christian. His YouTube channel is Planet CHH, and I highly definitely recommend go checking him out. So let's bring him on. Hey, Christian, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I like your Army of You got your Evil Dead going on, man.
Oh, I'm repping. I'm
I
repping.
dig it.
I,
Army of
I
Darkness is my favorite.
oh, good. It might pop up later on then. Because I asked you to bring on a couple of your favorite pieces, and I brought on a couple of my favorite pieces of physical media.
I love it.
Actually, I saw your the custom box set that you had,
Yeah,
the Evil Dead trilogy box set. That is just fantastic.
it is, isn't
It is. I love it.
it?
So, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but does those box sets come with the sleeves too?
So it's a box set. It's a custom thing. It's called Blockbuster Box Sets. You can find the guy on Facebook, and I think he has like an Etsy store, and he does all kinds of stuff. It's like a hard shell box, and inside it's like a individual small boxes, the way that they did like the Halloween 4K Scream Factory did, where like they were kind of hard shell and then the movies were in there. It's like those smaller hard shells for the individual movies, and then you take your movie that you already own of it, and then you can put it in there. So it's like a way to give you like a premium style look for some of your movies that never got that kind of look, like those kinds of collections. So he does custom stuff like that. Like he did Jaws, because for some reason Spielberg refuses to ever let Jaws be associated with the sequels. Like you can't buy a collection of all the Jaws movies, at least not in America. Spielberg has like, no, always separate my movies from the sequels. So he made this complete box set that you can put your movies in and stuff. Excuse me, and stuff like that to actually have like a legitimate collection. So they're cool. It's really cool, high quality stuff. You'd be surprised when you have it in your hand. Like, damn, this looks official. So it's awesome stuff.
Yeah, he also did like a Chucky one too, right? When Scream Factory released all theirs, and then
I'm
he
sure
made
I'm
it.
sure he did. Yeah.
Because I did see a Chucky box set flying around, and the quality is so good. I figured it was the same guy.
Yeah. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's tearing it up right now, man. There's a
Yeah,
couple people out there doing that stuff, man. It's really cool. And like I said, the quality is insane. Like I don't know how they do it. Like it doesn't look like it's cheaply scanned or anything. It looks vibrant. Like it's impressive. Very impressive.
yeah. Well, I do got some questions for you here. So I'd like to know where it all began with collecting, like before collecting physical, like boutique labels.
Hmm.
As a kid, I think that there's stuff that you always have to get and have to collect. Do you know, like, if like there were action figures, you had to get the whole sets, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon? What was it for you?
Oh man, you were taking me. I tell you. So when I was little, it's funny you mentioned Pokemon, dude. That was everything when I was a kid. And it was always at the mall, those little like when you're walking through the mall, those little kiosk little huts. There would always be this one. I grew up in New Orleans, so I remember there was a mall in Slidell we used to go to. I think it was called Lakeside or something. Oh man, every time we went to the mall, we knew we were gonna get a pack of Pokemon cards. And I used to have the binders and everything. Man, I had probably, if you looked at it today, if I could have kept what I had, thousands of dollars worth of cards. I had all of it, and I lost it all in Katrina, unfortunately. But yeah,
Mm.
see, I can't say I was a super collector as a kid. Besides, I didn't see myself as that. I just everybody my age loved Pokemon in like 1997, 1998. So that's what we all did. Um, but in terms of like being a collector, I don't think I really got that way until I got into horror. Oddly enough, which I wasn't a lifelong horror fan, which sometimes throws people off. But I wasn't. I wasn't anti-horror. I'm like I didn't watch a lot of that stuff as a kid. Um, but after Pokemon, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh, I remember that. That was fairly short-lived for me, maybe a year and a half, some change. But again, man, just like blowing every dime I could make, birthday party money, all of it. I just bought all those cards. But again, I
Yeah,
never saw myself as a collector. It was just kind of like that's what I was into. But I never saw myself as like, oh, I'm a collector. That didn't really cross my mind as a kid.
Okay.
you know?
That's definitely fair. I have to say I'm in the same boat with Pokemon. And how old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, we're in the same ballpark. I'm 30. That those were phenomenons that took over our childhoods.
Oh man. Sometimes I miss it. That I go on YouTube sometimes because there's like Pokemon, I guess it's still really big, right? Like there's this guy on YouTube. I don't know how he affords it, but he literally his whole channel is opening up old packs of Pokemon cards all the time. I forget the guy's name, but I watch these videos and it's just like, man, I don't. This is insane. Like he'll have a box of like the first edition, opening a box of first edition basic. I'm like, dude, that goes for like those go for like 16 grand. Like those cards now, it's insane. But yeah, I love that stuff, man. I go on, I watch those videos all the time. You
Yeah, I
know.
wish I would. I'm in the same boat with you. I wish I still had my collection from back in the day. We would have been sitting on a good chunk of change.
Oh, if only we knew. If only.
Oh, definitely. So when you first started collecting, I know that you stated in some of your later videos that you started collecting in boutique labels in 2012, which is also the same year that you met your partner. I think you believe you said.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So let me break it down for you. I tell the story all the time, but it's very much a pivotal point in my life. It was 2009, maybe 8, but my brother my brother had already started driving at that point. I think I did too, but I just remember he was like, "Hey, let's go to Spirit Halloween. I think we had a party or something we were planning or we were going to go to, and we were just going to go to Spirit Halloween." We went to a Spirit Halloween, and I had been before, of course, but something about this trip. I went into the store, and this was when Spirit Halloween had all the really cool Gemmy animatronic stuff, which I have in my shed. I need to sell those. I got thousands of dollars of those damn things. I walked in Spirit Halloween and there was a Jason, right, just slashing right when you walked in. They had a Freddy. This is before the remake came out. So this is the old 2006 model, which I have that too. And I'm seeing all this going on. I'm thinking to myself, man, this is like, wow. Like I was just enamored by it all. Like it's almost like a veil had been lifted off. And I was really like looking at the stuff genuinely for the first time. Of course, I knew who these characters were. You can't be on Earth and not know who Freddy is or Jason, right? But I just remember as we were going home, I talked to my mom. My mom used to work right next to a Blockbuster in our town. And I said, Mom, do me a favor. Can you rent me like a Nightmare on Elm Street at Blockbuster tomorrow when you get off work? She goes, no problem. No problem. She came home the next day and she said, here, Christian, somebody had part 1 rented. I got the second one. Do you mind? I said, I don't mind at all. I'm fine. Brendan, that movie, I watched Freddy's Revenge. I had seen some horror stuff, of course. Like I remember seeing The Strangers with my friends in the theater the year before that or that year, and I saw Rob Zombie's Halloween, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. I watched the movie Freddy's Revenge. Dude, I hadn't seen anything like that. I mean, I really hadn't. And I wouldn't say it traumatized me, but dude, like when Freddy bursts out of Jesse in that movie, I just remember like leaning up in my bed watching this by myself. I'm like, holy shit. And that from that day, then I was like, I gotta watch more of this. So then I started watching, I finished the Nightmares, then I watched all the Fridays, blah, 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 blah. And at that moment, I was like, I was so enamored with those movies, I started buying them on DVD. That's where my collecting started. My collecting with physical media really started with my love of horror right around that time. So I had a job at that point, and I'd take my paycheck every week I could, and I'd go to FYE, and I would just I'd buy whatever deluxe DVD they had of Friday the 13th, because those DVDs were new at the time. The red cases with the holographic covers, they were selling. So like I'd want to get one, but they wouldn't have one. They'd have 3 and 4 in stock. I'd grab 3. Then the next week they'd have a part 6. They'd restock. I'd grab that. So I'd watch those up. But that's how my collecting really started. Right there was right after seeing Freddy's Revenge. I got into horror really, and then boom, I've been collecting movies since 2009. So that's where like that's where I started to see myself as a collector of physical media, was right then and there. That's really where it all started for me.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
Yeah. I love that you adjusted to horror later on, which I was like in horror when I was like a little under the age of 10, because I
Right,
remember when Freddy versus Jason came out and the trailer came out in 2003.
right.
And that was the trailer that just got me in the old slate like 80s slashers. So like I was the same way when I was a kid. Like I'd go pick blueberries or pick corn for money, and I would go to the local Walmart and see they had those red
The
a
deluxe
nightmare on.
DVDs. Oh no,
Yeah,
you're talking about the red A Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay,
yeah, those ones.
and
I
you go
picked up
snag
all
one.
those. Yeah, and I was in the same boat. It would just be like 1 week I could get one, and 1 week the other one, and then it was just like DVDs, and I've been collecting them like ever since. I go through I used to go through phases of like I would collect like the best dramas or the best gangster
Sure,
films and
sure.
Oscar nominee wins. Like, but eventually I've sold off a whole bunch, and I've condensed my collection down essentially. But
You know what's funny, Brendan? People think that I'm that way too. The reason I rebranded my channel a few years ago is because it's just not true. You will not meet a bigger Jean-Claude Van Damme fan than me. You won't.
yeah,
I'm serious. I am a huge fan of Van Damme, Stallone. I love 80s comedies. Don't get me started on Dan Aykroyd. I could talk to you about The Great Outdoors. I could talk to you about Spies Like Us. I got all that stuff. I'm in love with it. I love it. But like my channel was so primarily focused on horror. That's why I rebranded my channel. I used to just be Christian Hannah Horror, hence the CHH.
yep,
But my Fisk Media collection is probably 60% horror. But I'm into all that stuff. I'm not into superhero movies, but like, dude, 80s and 90s stuff. Don't get me started, man. Like, I love it. I'm into all of that. But horror is my number one thing. It always has been and always probably will be.
yeah, it's pretty much in the same boat with me. After a while, it just got to be too much, and I'm running out of room. Like
Oh god, yeah.
they were all DVDs too, so I found that since I've switched to Blu-ray, it's a little easier to kind of stack stuff along. But I had to get rid of all the DVDs for the most part. I still have my massive horror collection of DVDs, and my wife.
Don't sell them. They're going to be worth money. I'm telling you, they will be worth. I've been preaching this, dude. Some of those DVDs are going to be worth money. It's a circle, brother. It all comes around. It
Yeah,
all comes around.
I try to keep them, but like here's the thing: when things get upgraded to 4K and a new restoration on Blu-ray, I have a hard time being able to justify having both copies.
I
You
understand that. I
you
totally
know,
understand that.
and
I
it's hard to keep up. I guess we'll get into this. I do have like rough talking points, but
sorry.
like
I ramble, brother. Like I'm
it's
old
okay.
school. Like I just go.
It's okay. But like how are people expected to be able to keep up with these prices of these boutique labels? Like you got Scream Factory that are pumping out titles. So sometimes they got slow months, sometimes they only do a few, but then you
Right.
got months like September coming out where they're pumping out six collector's edition items. At in Canada here, they're probably running close to $45 a piece.
I had a feeling you were Canadian.
How did you know that?
I just the way you were talking, very clean, proper. You can enunciate very well. Like I'm from Louisiana. People listening to this are probably saying like, "God damn, one of these guys is educated, and the other one's so stupid." No,
I'm
but
from
no,
like the lower part of Ontario. It's almost
nice.
like we're in the States.
Yeah, you guys got Tim Hortons, man.
Oh, coffee's
See,
great.
I have family in Michigan, and we went to Michigan a few years ago, and I just remember I don't know what it is about me. Like I have this weird fascination about Canada because I'm a big Bret Hart fan. As a kid, I was always loved Bret Hart. Is he really like a Canadian hero? Like is Bret Hart looked at as a hero in Canada? Like
I don't,
truly,
I'm not going to be honest with you. I don't know who Bret Hart is.
that's shocking to me. That is
Oh,
shocking to me.
what's his background? What's he do?
He was one of the biggest pro wrestlers in WWF during the
Oh
80s and 90s. The Hitman, Bret Hart. Like
no, I'm
he
not.
was huge.
I'm not a
Not a wrestling
wrestling
fan?
guy.
Okay, never mind.
No.
Forget I even mentioned anything. But anyway, I went to a Tim Hortons in Michigan because I didn't know that they actually had them in some of the states up north, but they did, and I loved it. I loved Tim Hortons. I wish I could have one.
Well, you know what? Give me your address, and I'll send you a little box of some
No
Tim
kidding?
Hortons
Okay,
coffee. Oh
okay.
yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
But yeah, like
How do people
how
keep up?
yeah, how can people keep up with this?
Dude, you
And
really it's impossible. And the irony is I have people that I know that talk to me about the death of physical media. It's kind of true and kind of not, right? Because yeah, you got stores like Best Buy saying, "Okay, we're done. We're going to move. We're going to move away from that." But it's literally impossible to keep up with it. I mean, you got to just think too, it's not just Scream Factory, which thankfully like some of the stuff that they're doing right now, I'm just like I'm good. Like I don't need a 4K of The Boy. Like, let's just
that's
be real.
fair.
Like, not no disrespect to the people, but like it's not the thing about Scream Factory is they have the thing that works for them so much has always been we are living in a time where we sensationalize the 80s and the 90s so much. I think it's probably because a lot of people like miss that era. And those movies represent, memories that we have, blah, blah, blah. And they were shot on film. Let's just call a spade a spade. 35 millimeter film, when restored to 4K, looks sensational. Digital's not there yet. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. So a lot of those movies on high restorations, they truly look amazing. Like I'll never forget when I got into 4K and I got let me think of a horror title because I initially want to say Casino, which was one of the most when I got that on 4K and I got the 4K TV, I was like I thought it was a gimmick. I really thought 4K was a gimmick until I saw Casino restored 4K. It looked 3D. It looked like I could literally like you could see that you could see the density of the image. You could almost see like the space between De Niro and the craps table behind him. Like there was zero compression to the image. It was astounding. And so like getting into horror too, you know, watching movies like Pumpkinhead, and you can see the Stan Winston's design on this gigantic ass thing, and you can see the slime on it. Like it looks so incredible. But to answer your question, it's hard to keep up because if you're like me, you can't only worry about Scream Factory. You got to look at what Second Sight's doing. You got to look at what Arrow Video's doing. You got to look at what Severn's doing. You got to look at what Vinegar Syndrome is doing. You got to look at what Indicator's doing. You got to look at what fucking there's so many boutique labels now, and that's another thing. TerraVision, like there's so many boutique labels. It's insane. It is insane. It's tough. You can't. But the difficulty, Brendan, is this: a lot of this stuff is limited. Sometimes the licenses that they get for these titles are limited. They can offer it for X period of time, and then it's gone. Then it's gone. So it's tough. It just is really tough. There is no magic answer. Like that's the reality. Is it? You have to just figure it out. Some companies you start to plan though, like Kino Lorber, they have legitimately good sales. So if you see stuff that comes out like, oh, they got Leviathan coming out. Oh, I love that movie. Hold your horses. Wait till the sales. And then if not now, wait till the next sale because it may not be on sale, but they'll have titles for 10, 15 bucks a piece. But no, some of the prices are difficult, man. It really is difficult. So I don't know. I just say I tell people when they ask me this, Brandon, they'll say, Christian, I need a collection like yours, man. I'm starting to collect. Well, I always say, listen, don't try to turn your movie room into a wall like this overnight. Get stuff you're really interested in, man. Build your collection organically. Get stuff that oh man, I'm excited to see. I never went to the theater to see Maxine. I'm going to get that on Blu-ray when it comes out. Like, but don't just go, okay, I have this, I bought a gigantic ass movie shelf. I got to fill it up. No, don't do that because guess what happens, Brendan? Like you said, after a while, it's like, I ain't got no goddamn room. Now I got to pull stuff out and put it away. Don't rush the process. This took me like I really accomplished something, people. It's just a bunch of shit I bought. But the reality is this, along with you can't see it, but I've got more shows over here. But like, dude, this is like how long ago was 2009? Is that 15 years? It's 15 years, man.
Yeah.
It's like it takes a while. You have to just get stuff you're truly interested in. Don't buy stuff because you need to fill out a shelf. You'll end up being your worst enemy that way. You really will. So you have to just, and here's another thing I tell people, Brendan. Oh man, this movie, like Christian, you could, for instance, now opera, I think opera is not a great example because I would tell people, look, that's a great Dario Argento film. You probably should just buy that. But if let's just say They're like, Christian, Opera's coming out in 4K. Should I grab that? You know what I try to tell people? Listen, man, do you have Shudder? Let's say they say, yeah, dude, it's on. I tell you what, dude, go watch it on Shudder. Tell me if you like it, and if you like it, then I would say definitely pick it up. That's the thing. You don't always have to blind buy either. Like
Yeah.
streaming is not your enemy. I don't think streaming is your enemy. I hate to speak for you, but I think you probably live in a reality where streaming and physical media kind of coexist perfectly fine. And you'll watch stuff on streaming, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
so my point is, use streaming as your vetting system sometimes. Like Trick or Treats. Would I want to get that on Blu-ray? Well, let's see what the special features offer on that. Let's see what is it different than the restoration that's on. Let me just watch it on Sure. Let me just watch 25, 30 minutes of it to see if I like it. Hey, you know what? That was actually pretty funny. I think I'm gonna go get the Blu-ray, or vice versa. This was boring as hell, man. I just saved myself $19.95. You've got the ability today to really vet your buying process, and you can refine it. And this is what I do. I refine my buying process, man. Like, I'm not afraid to watch something that I know is going to come out on physical media next month on streaming, because I can say to myself, yeah, I really didn't like that. I'm going to pass, so you got to educate yourself as your customer as much as you can,
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally true. I get that. Like, Shutter is also like when they get a movie license, they tend not to lose it. So if it, like, I know that they've had like all the Argento films on there since Shutter began.
Yeah, they're pretty good about that. And I think that their model works. I can't speak for them specifically, but I think what they do is kind of like with Tubi. There's no exclusivity rights. Some of those companies, like when they have exclusivity rights, that means that they can license a movie. If they want to have it just there, then it can only probably be just there for X period of time. But to just license the use of the movies, I think they have more leeway on just being able to keep it on their sites, like the way Tubi is. But Shutter's great, man. Like there's so much shit on Shutter that can open your eyes to Indian films, Asian movies. I mean, God, man. And then what I love about Shutter, Brennan, I'm sorry, dude. Like I said, I can just talk. Listen
That's
to me.
okay.
I saw this movie in 2015 or 16. Nobody was talking about this, Brennan. Nobody. I'm not trying to sound like the cool kid in school, but listen to me. I watched this movie called House LLC, and I said to myself, "Holy shit, this movie's scary as hell. Why? Where did this come from?" And I remember trying to tell my friends about it and stuff. And this was before on YouTube where I was like confident enough to like recommend stuff or blah, blah, blah. They throw this movie on Shudder about 4 or 5 years ago. It explodes. Now everybody's talking about how, then what happens? They make sequels because there's this huge, people are interested in it again. So that's the thing I love about Shudder too, is that they're able to bring awareness to hidden gems. Now Hell House isn't a hidden gem anymore. Now it's a phenomenon. Everybody loves House LLC, and I'm happy about that. So I think Shudder's great.
Yeah, me too. They produce like really good original content for the most part. Like their documentaries are great.
Man.
Amen. My wife is also like a huge preacher of House LLC. She loves it.
We'd get along. That was one of the scariest. Did y'all watch Origins? House Origins?
That was the newest one, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Dude, it scared the shit out. I swear to God, dude. Like there were moments in that where I was just kind of like watching it like this. Dude, those clowns. I thought House Origins was as good as the first one. The 2 and 3, they're okay. Origins to me was as good as 1.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, dude. That's my. I'm sorry. That's my shit, dude. I love Hell House.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, we watched the second one. We were like iffy on it, so we never ended up getting to the Lake of Fire. But
well, I tell you, Brennan, they're not great sequels, but I tell you what they do, Brennan. They actually tell a story. Like for found footage, it's actually clever. They tell a full story. There's a conclusion in that one. Terrible name. What did you say it was called? Hell of Fire, Ring of Fire?
Lake of Fire.
Like ridiculous. I hate it. But you should go back and finish it because there's a conclusion to the story, which is unique in found footage. Usually it's just like next chapter, next, like Paranormal Activity. But this actually tells a full story, which was impressive. May not land for you, but I think you'll actually be like, okay, wow, they actually did something full circle. That's interesting. But dude, Origins, fucking amazing. Fucking amazing.
You excited for the new one to come out?
I am. You know, it's so funny because Umbrella, speaking of physical media, they announced this gorgeous box set. I ordered the damn thing, and I'm like, I'm going to have a complete collection of Hell House. And then a week later, oh, they're making another one. I'm like, fuck. God damn it. But I can't, it's not like Umbrella knew that. Like, they, you know, I can't be mad at them for it.
I know. It seemed like with everything that happens to me, I'll buy like an old Scream Factory release, and then all of a sudden it'll be a month
Here
later.
comes the 4K.
Oh yeah, brand new 4K coming out in a month. And I'm like, that's why everybody's selling the Blu-ray all of a sudden. No, I get it.
Yep. Oh, dude. Luckily, I've been collecting Scream Factory since the day they started. So, like, I pretty much, which not really that much better, but a lot of times I upgrade stuff that I already had on Blu-ray.
I hear their upgrades are like really good. So I just upgraded my 4K. Like, I just got the upgrade for the 4K about a month, 2 months ago.
Okay.
So, and I've been collecting 4Ks before then, but I've never actually had the chance to sit down and watch any of them. So as soon as I got the TV and the 4K player, I busted in Tremors for the first time on 4K. Mind blown. I was like you. I didn't believe the gimmick either. And then watching Tremors, and I've been watching that movie ever since I was a kid. And
it's like you're looking at zero compression of an image. Like you were looking at film. And it's so, the data, I don't know how to explain it, but like, dude, it's crazy. I mean, it is sensational. The tricky stuff comes in the 2000s, right? Because we're working with digital, we're working with newer technology. I have been a pretty good guinea pig of getting stuff from the 2000s on 4K. Stuff like Dead Silence, it's kind of like, I'm not feeling it. But for some reason, I don't know if you're a fan, the Dawn of the Dead Snyder 4K, I don't know why it looks that incredible. Blows away every other release from the past. So if that's ever one you're looking into, the Dawn of the Dead 04 4K, insanely good. I'd put it in the top 5 Scream Factory 4Ks. I really would. That good.
Wow. Does it still have that like super like grainy, dirty, kind of grimy look to it?
Yes. I mean, it doesn't look digital. It looks filmic. I don't know if Snyder filmed it on 35 or not. I don't know. But dude, it looks, I just thought it looked amazing, but it had that, it still had kind of like that dirty, grimy look to it. I mean, it was badass. So good. But like other stuff, like I said, Dead Silence, it was just like, oh man, like I kind of wasted my money.
Oh yeah.
Plus the color timing Wan was doing during that time was just, I love James Wan, but like it screams 2007. He's desaturating everything. There's no color. It's almost black and white. It's just like, this shouldn't be on 4K.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
I like that on your channel too, that you will give your honest opinion on everything. I like that when you put out your Willy's Wonderland 4K review. I was actually not shocked necessarily, but it's good to hear that this is something that you would suggest for people not to go out and get.
I mean, this is my philosophy, Brandon. I went through a phase of buying movies, and I would convince myself I didn't waste my money. So I needed to convince you, not literally you, but you know what I'm saying? I needed to convince you. But after a while, it's just like, you know, I didn't really start out as a physical media channel per se. I didn't review stuff. But after a while, man, I just started to learn never talk at your audience, talk to them, express yourself honestly, and never approach something in a sense of just shitting on it from start to finish. You have to show a level of fairness in some aspect of your review of something, which I try to do. But I have to be honest about that kind of stuff, because the fact of the matter is, Brennan, I already bought it.
Yeah.
I mean, I already bought it. So what am I going to do? It's like the fact of the matter is, why did I buy it, Brendan? Guess what? I bought it because I love Nicolas Cage. I'm a big fan. I assume you are as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's doing incredible things in horror right now. So I was like, you know what? I like that movie. Why not try to see what it's like on 4K? Maybe it'll look cool. The reality is it didn't look much different. You know, the movie already had a nice, crisp, sharp image on the Blu-ray. You might see a 5 or 10% difference if you have an OLED or a QLED, maybe even a little bit more, but not enough to be like, oh my, this transforms the movie. That's just not reality with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, man. It's you know, it doesn't make me a physical. That's the other thing I had to make myself realize. It doesn't mean you're not a physical media lover, Christian, if you tell people, hey, wait for this to either go very cheaply on sale, or if you don't own the movie, then you're not hurting yourself by any means. But if you want to upgrade and you can't help yourself, wait till it goes on sale. I had to tell myself, Christian, that doesn't make you a physical media killer. Like you're trying to help your audience out. Like, so I had to go through that. I had a lot of growing pains.
Yeah.
With that.
So like you said, you've been collecting Scream Factory from the beginning. I'd like to know how you feel about the company over the span in their entirety. Do you feel like they've been getting worse? Do you feel like they've been getting better? What's your thoughts on there?
I think that they had an incredible run from about 2012 to about 2018. Probably one of the best runs of a boutique label of all time. I mean, Brendan, the first 2 years of Scream Factory were literal banger after banger. I'm not exaggerating. Halloween 2, Halloween 3. Then they were doing The Thing, Return of the Living Dead. They were doing literal top tier titles that were classics to people. One after the other. Wes Craven stuff. This, Swamp Thing, Deadly Blessing. I mean, just hit after hit after hit. It was pandemonium. You couldn't wait to see what they were going to announce next. As 4K crept in, what started happening around 2017, 18, Vinegar Syndrome started packaging stuff in a way that just made fans. Vinegar Syndrome is the best marketing company of all time in physical media, Brennan. People, they know exactly what they do. They make parties out of their announcements, Brennan. They don't just like post like Scream Factory. Oh, here's September. Here's August. No, they say midnight, halfway to Black Friday. Get your ass by the computer. We're dropping sales. We're dropping new titles. You don't know what it is. We're going to give you a hint. They are marketing experts. Okay? And they started packaging stuff in a way that was the fans loved it. It's one thing to have a slipcover, Brendan, but it's another thing to do this embossing, getting these artists to be expressive and do these incredible things. They put out anything. That's the kicker. They put out anything, but they're able to make people excited for it. Now, that's not to say that Vinegar Syndrome doesn't have some great titles. The fact is they do. You have to dig a little, but they have some great titles. So around this time, physical media started changing. And it wasn't just, what are the special features? Does it come with a slipcover? Blah, 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 that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then it became, oh my God, there's this thing called the Vinegar Syndrome Ultra releases. Have you seen these? They have metal in them and magnets that they snap open. They've got pull tabs on them. They've got booklets. They've got these slip covers are insane. What kind of material is this? This isn't cardboard. This feels like some kind of, I don't even know. So that started to change. Scream Factory has never really adopted anything. What we're seeing now is those other companies like Severin say, we're falling behind. We have got to change what we're doing. Now Severin has stepped up big time. They've gone up in the quality of their actual. Because here's the thing, Brennan. For me, the transfer, special features, all that stuff, that is paramount importance. But guess what it's called, Brennan? It's called physical media, right? Physical, touching it, holding it. Yep. That's important to people. And it's okay to admit that that is important to people, right? It's okay to admit that, like, dude, this looks great. Look at this. I love the embossing on this. Man, this is gorgeous. This is going to look so great on top of my show. Like, that is important to people, and it's okay for us to know and accept that. So Scream Factory has slipped down. They've fallen behind. A lot of people are tired and sick and tired of just, okay, you guys are y'all just re-releasing everything you've already had? Now, I can understand that from a business aspect, Brandon, because guess what? They're not letting go of any John Carpenter title. They're not doing that. Because if another company's going to swipe that license up like that. But people aren't as excited for Scream Factory stuff because the price points are pretty close to what Severance and all these other ones are. But for your dollar, the quality of the releases you're getting in your hands, I'm sorry, Scream Factory is dead last. Physical media, it's changing a little bit, and Scream Factory is falling behind big time. Why did they not do a box set for the Night of the Demons 1, 2, and 3? Rumor has it they were initially going to do that. I'm talking make a box set. That's Brennan, you like box sets. Collectors love box sets. You probably would have been like, dude, I would have loved a box set of the Night of the Demons films together. Like, what? But they didn't do that. They don't do that anymore. They are falling behind. So while they do put out some cool titles, and I appreciate it when they get stuff that hasn't been come to a 4K format, like Amityville 2005 or, other stuff like that, from the eyes of the collector, no, they have fallen way behind. Yeah, but I also can't blame them totally, Brent. Last thing.
No, it's okay.
I also totally can't blame them with their business model, because the fact of the matter is, when they do release stuff that hasn't been released from them before or has been in VHS hell for a while, it tanks. The Haunting of Julia came out. I think it's a great movie. Tanked. Company of Wolves came out on 4K. A great canon film. It's like Little Red Riding Hood as this horror werewolf movie. Tanked. People didn't buy it. So I'm sure Scream Factory is saying, what are we doing? Just shove Children of the Damned, Village of the Damned on 4K. What other stuff do we have that we have? Just shove it out there. Like, the rumor is they're going to put Night of the Creeps on 4K this Halloween. I would not be surprised. That's going to come out. They're just all the stuff that's sold on Blu-ray, just shove it back out there. So I at a certain point too, I also can't really blame them, because when they do go out on a limb, nobody's buying it. That's just reality. So it's tough.
Well, some of the things too that they've been doing, like, we didn't need it. Like, if they were going to release The Orphan, why didn't they just do a 4K upgrade instead of doing the 4K scan on a brand new Blu-ray?
Well, the reason is because that's, from what I understand, because I had an interview with Cliff McMillan, the guy who created Scream Factory, who now works for Arrow Video. I interviewed him, and he taught me a lot of stuff like that. Licenses get as specific as literally everything that's on that release. So the reason that they don't have just a normal Blu-ray and it have to be a 4K scan of Blu-ray, because they are licensing a new transfer of that film. They're not necessarily licensing the film in general. They're licensing a specific transfer of that movie. So when they upgraded that movie to 4K and they paid to restore it and make that transfer, they have to use that transfer on that release only. They can't use the release that Universal or whatever company that was that made that movie. I don't know if it was Universal, but pretend it was. The Universal Blu-ray and that transfer that was already present, they're not licensing that. They're licensing the new scan that they're doing. That's why that scan is on that Blu-ray as well as the 4K on that release. They have to, by law. That's the way they license that out.
Okay. Well, why not pump in any like new special features? Like, I get the slipcover, it looks good, and the new artwork, but I don't think there are any new special features. I did do a video on it like when it came out, but I compared it to the original Blu-ray release.
This electricity bill is outrageous, and I won't pay it.
Hey, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. So,
dude, it's okay. It happens to me all the time. You're cool.
This is legit the first time that has ever happened, and I'm like, it's not even raining. We just had a brownout.
Well, you know what they say. I don't know what they say actually.
Okay, I was gonna say, what do they say? I've never heard this before.
I have no idea. Oh, you were talking about Orphan.
Yeah, and the lack of new special features, because they also released Dracula 2000 that day as well, which came with a boatload of new special features compared to the Orphan.
Well, I'm gonna give them in the event of the Orphan, I'm gonna give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt, right? Because you've got a situation where the people involved in that movie probably ain't doing shit for free, much less cheap. So, but at the same time, the way Cliff expressed it to me, Scream Factory don't put in the same amount of effort, special features wise, as they used to. Back in the day, dude, they paid people and they went out of their way to do great things. They used to do documentaries on their releases. Your shirt reminds me, one of the best Blu-ray releases Scream Factory ever did was Army of Darkness. They made an hour-length making of that involved Campbell, Kurtzman, Nicotero, like all those guys involved with the movie. They brought them together. They put this body of work together that was mind-blowing. Watching the documentary for Army of Darkness is damn near as good as just watching the movie. I mean, it's so addicting watching the making of because it's so well put together. They go in depth about everything. Now you're lucky if you get a 5-minute Zoom interview call on a special features for some of these releases. That's just the way they are now. I mean, and that's another reason why people are just kind of like, oh. I'll give you an example of something they did that really sucked. I don't know if you've seen this movie. It's called Matinee.
I saw your video on it though.
They really screwed the pooch on that release. I don't know why or how, but on the Blu-ray, in the movie, John Goodman plays this. He is like this movie guy that goes town to town and shows his new movie. He's a big what do you call it? He's a big promoter type, over the top car salesman promoter type. He's really good in the movie. And in the movie, they are showing Mant, which is Lawrence Woolsey's horror movie he's showing around. Well, on the special features, they filmed a 25-minute movie, Mant. Like they filmed it for the movie. And on the special features, they have the movie on there. It's amazing. I mean, it's really good watching Mant. It's so over the top. It's great. They actually have a scene where the guy who is a giant ant is climbing a building and the military shoot at it. It is so cool to watch. That was a special feature on the Blu-ray. The 4K gone. They don't even have it on as a special feature. My hope was what they were going to do was actually restore Mant to 4K as well. Now, why is it gone? I don't know. If I would have researched that beforehand, I might not have gotten it. But at the same time, I love John Goodman. He's one of my favorite actors. And I love Joe Dante. And it's one of my favorite Joe Dante movies. So maybe not. But my point is, they couldn't get the license for it. Kiss my ass. You guys didn't want to pay for the license for it. All that stuff is a license. I understand that. But it's like, that's the other thing. Because they're reissuing everything, Brennan, I almost feel that they're like, we have already got X return from licensing this movie. We're probably not going to get as many buys this time. We got to cut costs on some of these. We have to. That's my bet, is that they have to cut costs on these 4K releases because a lot of them are reissues and they worry that they're not going to sell as much as the Blu-ray release did. So whatever they can cut costs, if that means less special features, they'll do it. That's the sad predicament that they're in. They're not going. Why would Scream Factory have not gone after Dario Argento titles when they were coming out? Why?
Yeah.
Some of them are available. Like they could have gotten the license. Now, granted, as time has gone on, you know, some of these movies, Brennan, they were kind of like owned by, this was independent stuff back in the day. Some of these movies are owned by a person, right? They're not owned by a company. They're owned by a person. And some of these movies, that's why some, like Cheerleader Camp was owned by a man. That man passed away. Now that movie's kind of in legal limbo. People are like, when's that coming out? But it's in legal limbo. It can't. Scream Factory, they never adjusted. They never said, okay, we got to start. And I've been saying for a long time, you guys need to tap into an area that is ripe for it now because enough time has gone by. And that is the 2000s. They're creeping into that. They are. but not in the right way. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're giving us Carrie on 4K. That movie's like 12, 13 years old. Nobody's asking for Carrie on 4K. Who's asking for Carrie on 4K? Not the original, but the remake. Why are they not trying to get Vacancy? Why are they not trying to get Hostel? Like, these are the movies I think you guys should be going. Joyride, like those movies. There's 2,000 movies that haven't gotten nice treatments, and do Blu-rays for those. Do nice collectors. You don't have to do 4Ks for those. License a Blu-ray. So I think they need to really figure it. I think they need to pump the brakes and change their model, change their packaging, step it up, because the competition has gotten better. People aren't as excited. People aren't excited for Scream Factory stuff anymore. They're excited for Vinegar Syndrome. They're excited right now for Severin, because they're getting some good stuff going on. They're excited for Synapse with their conjunction with Redshirt Pick. They got Trick or Treat coming out, which is going to sell out like that when it gets announced. When Trick or Treat gets announced, it will be going like that. So you better be by a computer or your phone, have your phone on you when it gets announced. They're going to sell out of all 6,000 in a day. Because that's how people are excited for physical media now.
I know, it's almost like you said, it's like an event anymore. And like basically the people are calling physical media like the new vinyl. Do you think that that's like accurate?
I think it's apples and pomegranates. Physical media being the pomegranate. Vinyl, I think it's vinyl. Maybe not so. Maybe not so. That might be a stretch. I don't see the correlation per se. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just think with physical media, it's never gone away. Vinyl went away. With physical media, I just think it's gotten more niche, but as the more it's gotten more niche, the higher the caliber the releases are. So I don't know if I would see it the same per se. Now, I'm a vinyl guy myself. I'm a musician and I love music, and a lot of the older I get, the older the music is I listen to. When I was 15, 16, 17, I was listening to basically the rock stuff that was coming out. So Papa Roach, 3 Days Grace. Now I listen to Blue Oyster Cult and Van Zant, and I listen to Whitesnake. So like the older I get, the older the music is I listen to, and Alice Cooper, who's my hero. So I don't know. I wouldn't argue that per se, but I think they are a little different, the circumstances.
That's fair. I guess it hasn't completely disappeared yet, but it's disappearing fast off of shelves. I find like we moved to a town where when we moved here, right before we moved here, the Walmart selection here in my town was vast. It was my favorite spot to go and check out movies. And now it's shrunken down to about half of an aisle. You don't even get one whole aisle. You get a half, and then you get the new releases, and that's about it.
And the reality is, but here's the dichotomy of that. The reality is, when they get announcements for like steel books of something, like Godzilla X Kong silly ass name, Godzilla X Kong New Empire, when that came out, there was supposed to be a steelbook that was going to be in Walmart's. Half of people don't even get the steelbooks at Walmart's because they sell out online so fast that there's no demand. There's no demand left to have them in the stores. That's the dichotomy of the whole thing. 9 times out of 10, my stores don't get the steelbooks at all because the online purchases for the stuff are so strong that they're not even making it to the stores. That's the irony of the whole thing, right? You're right. Physical media is becoming more closed off. But the demand for the print, and this goes back to how physical media is just changing. For a lot of people, you can't just shove a movie out. Like, you have to. The steelbook thing today too is just as crazy. People love steelbooks. Yeah. So that's my point. It's just like it's definitely becoming less mainstream. But the demand for that kind of stuff, it's still through the roof. And that's why Lionsgate. This is their second year in a row now that they're pumping out steelbooks. This year we're getting steelbooks. Some of them are re-releases again, like the Lionsgate properties that I assume just sell well, like Texas Chainsaw 3D is coming back out. But they're also doing stuff like I think it was like Eden Lake. They're doing Leatherface 2017. They're doing Sinister on steelbook. So like that's this year what they're doing for Halloween. And guess what, Brennan? They're going to sell like crazy. Some Walmarts won't even get them in the stores because the online demand is going to be so strong. They're not going to have any to put in the stores. We saw this with Best Buy. Exorcist didn't even make it to Best Buy on Steelbook. The online demand was so high. It didn't make it to the goddamn stores. I mean, they were sold out. The Thing. Do you remember when The Thing came out on Steelbook 4 years ago, 4 years ago? It sold out so fast, it didn't hit the shelves. They weren't there. So that's the interesting thing. Yes, it's less mainstream, but to say it's dead, you come get in the physical media world and you see how difficult it is to get some of this shit. You know, you have to be fast. You have to.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I am so envious because Walmart in Canada does not offer the Steelbook premiums that you guys get in the States. And some of those Steelbooks are just amazing.
They are cool. The Return of the Living Dead, with that being my favorite movie, I can't tell you how excited I am to get another edition of that. I love that movie, man. So I think that's really cool. And I think it looks good. So, and the artwork too, that's another thing that stepped up. You know, Steelbooks used to kind of be like this just thing, but now it's just like, God, man, they're gorgeous. And they're decking them out. You open them up from the back and they make a full picture on the inside. So yeah. That's another one. I guarantee you that one won't be in stores that much because the online demand for that's going to be through the roof.
I know. I just saw somebody did an opening of the Strangers Chapter 1 Steelbook from Walmart. Didn't like the movie, but that's a gorgeous looking Steelbook.
That's another thing about being a physical media collector is buying movies you don't really love, especially if it's part of a series because it's like, oh, goddamn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know the pain.
I didn't even watch that movie. I just was like, I'm going to wait. Everybody says it sucks. I'm just going to wait.
Oh, we went and saw it in theaters opening night. That was lackluster.
You're so polite.
Yeah. I'm not going to totally trash it. There's 2 other movies here. I want to get through the whole story before I give a total judgment on this. Yeah, that movie was something. Just totally lost my train of thought. So out of all the boutique labels that are out there, I know you've named so many of them. I've noticed that you haven't brought up Arrow too much. But I'd like to know, like, what boutique label do you think is going strong? Which one is your favorite to buy from right now?
Great question. And if I didn't mention Arrow much, that's my bad. I think Arrow is one of them for sure. I think they are overall. They have consistency. They have a level of quality. They do have issues every now and again, like every company does. But I think Arrow, what's cool about Arrow is they'll throw you off, right? They'll put out some high-end stuff, some bigger titles, and have they'll have Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but then they'll have Madman come out on 4K. And it's like, damn, yeah. And the beauty about 4K as a format, as you're going to learn, Brennan, if you haven't already, when it comes to that format of 4K, you're now region free.
Yep.
You can go on Diabolic DVD and order Madman from Arrow if that's the one you want, or if you want the Vinegar Syndrome, it doesn't matter. My point is you can get Madman from Arrow, which is a region B title. You can bring it to your house in Canada and you can watch it because 4K is region free, which is the saving grace for the format. I got to be honest. I really think it is. And, but Arrow is great. I think Vinegar Syndrome, like I said, they have a cult of people that love what they do. You got to respect that. They're brilliant marketers. If I was going to give you my top 3, I think gun to the head, I would say Arrow is the best. I really do. They have a consistency. I love their style of packaging. They're getting some bigger titles now because now with 4K, some of these companies, they don't, we're not too concerned about that format. We have our collections of Blu-rays out for those movies. So then they get Chucky, which was really cool. Then I'd have to throw Vinegar Syndrome in there. I mean, I really do, man. Like you I'm sure you've noticed there are people that just, and it's not a slight, it's just a reality. There are people that don't even watch half of the titles that they get from Vinegar Syndrome. But when they get them and they look at them, they say, holy, like, Brennan, I have a release from them called Boggy Creek 2, The Legend Continues, about Bigfoot from Vinegar Syndrome. that release, the physical release of that, is nicer than anything Scream Factory has ever put out. Physically, looking at it, holding it in your hands, quality wise, that release is as nice, if not nicer, than anything Scream Factory has physically put out, with the exception of like maybe the Friday the 13th or Halloween box set. That's the world we're living in. That's the world we're living in. So you have to give it to Vinegar Syndrome. You have to. I mean, they know what they're doing. And I'm going to throw in. I don't want to discredit Scream Factory, because if you look at what they've accomplished and the stuff they've put out, I mean, look, dude, you can see behind me, I have full rows of their titles. And they've done some of their Blu-ray releases are some of the best releases pound for pound I've ever seen. Again, Army of Darkness being included. But Severin is really scratching and clawing right now, dude. Like, their sale that they just put on was one of the best physical media sales I've ever seen in my life. Incredible. Now with the announcement of them getting Opera, they're off the high of Cemetery Man. Dude, Severin's, I can't wait to see what Severin is about to do in the next 365 days. I think they're going to get even bigger titles next. So I'm going to throw Severin in there, because they are coming up right now. And the eyes of the public, that sale that they just had with the announcement of Opera, dude, they just catapulted themselves, in my opinion. So I'm going to throw Severin in there right now.
Okay, that's interesting. I like it. There's actually a couple of those titles. Like I don't even know if I have any Severin movies. Like I'm still new to the game, so I'm collecting like some synopsis films that I know. Like every time I go to like some conventions, there'll be like a Vinegar Syndrome table,
right?
And synopsis. So I'll like go through there and I'll like pick and kind of choose. But Vinegar Syndrome's like the custom slip covers, right? And then like those slip covers go for, once they're sold out, and they go for like stupid amounts of money after that. Am I right? Am I saying this right?
Let me give you an example. I had a buddy years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. He needed to have the Jack Frost slipcover from Vinegar Syndrome. Mind you, Jack Frost is available now from MVD. But before that, Vinegar Syndrome had the license for Jack Frost. They did a limited slipcover for their Jack Frost Blu-ray release. He was on eBay asking me, Christian, like, they want $100 for the slipcover for Jack Frost. Not the movie, Brendan, the slipcover. And he was really debating on whether to buy it. And guess what? I said, dude, sleep on it. That's a lot of money for literally a piece of cardboard. Yep. I understand it's nice, but this is like the rabidness of the Vinegar Syndrome collectors. The next day, he was like, it's gone. Somebody bought it. So that's the level of love people have for Vinegar Syndrome stuff with the way they package stuff. I could give you examples of stuff right now that you'd be like, Jesus Christ, man, this opens up like a DeLorean. Like, what is this? Like, that's how nice some of their releases are. Literally, I have stuff from them that opens up like you open it up from the corners, not like a slip. You don't pop the movie out like a slipcover. You think opens up like a DeLorean. It's amazing the stuff that they do.
I'm gonna have to get in on this trade then, because I missed out on like when they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, so I missed out on that, and I've missed out on quite a few things. But I've like Taming the T-Rex 2, I believe they did, right? And that was a really nice slip.
Yeah,
that did it.
They do a lot of slips for stuff, and for a while I tried to avoid getting into that. I've stopped myself from becoming a Vinegar Syndrome nutcase, and I mean that in the best way possible. I pick up titles as they come out, but like sometimes I'll just get stuff without the slip, because they let you buy stuff without the slip sometimes. If it's a little bit cheaper, if you want to save $6, I'm not going to get it with the slip. I'm just going to get the movie. And I do that sometimes. Sometimes though, I'm like, oh man, that is wicked. I got to have that. Yeah. So they got it going on.
How do you feel about like certain packaging? Like, the Hellraiser, I can't remember. It was the 4-pack limited edition 4K. And the discs slide out of the paper, like out of the cardboard, I believe. Am I right? Or is that the old one?
Well, there's 2 of them, which I have. There is the Blu-ray set, which was...
That's with the individually in a row, right?
There was the 4K set that came out this past year that was kind of like that fold. It was like that. It's like those fold out things where that each disc has its page. And then there was the Blu-ray release. I forget the name of it. where it literally opens up like the damn Hellraiser box, like the
Oh,
box. I forget.
this
I can grab it
Scarlet
for
box
you.
set, I think.
Scarlet box. Yeah, the Scarlet
Yeah.
box. The Scarlet box set to me, it's a little over the top, but because it's got this formality, the way the actual Hellraiser sphere does. What is it? The men figure that Scarlet box set. I could never get rid of it. I mean, I wanted to upgrade the films because who's not a Hellraiser fan, right? But like, I wanted to upgrade the films. I was excited for Arrow when they put that out, but like that Scarlet box set, dude, like that is one of the nicest Arrow sets of all time. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's amazing, and it's not typical of what Arrow does. Although now I see what they're kind of doing. They're kind of showing their ways right now of their box sets and how they're going to do this going forward. Now they've got this model now where it's a lid that pops off. We saw this with Coffin Joe, that box set. Gorgeous box set where it's a box and the lid pops off. Guess what came out right after that? Chucky. Same exact mold. Just the size of the box is the same lid. I think we're going to see that going forward. And that's okay because I like that model too. I do like that model. You pop your top off and you can put your movies out of the top. So I think they're changing things and finding a happy medium of something that's got a nice formality to it, but it's also, I call it user friendly. I don't think people want to have to go open and carefully try to wiggle the top off because it crosses it through the sides like this and stuff like that. So I don't, like I said, dude, Arrow, I think end of the day, they're the best. I think I really do.
For the amount of like special features and stuff like that, and the quality of what they put out, and they always get a hard box for the most part, unless you wait too long, and then you just get the standard edition of everything. But like everything they seem to put out, other than the manufacturing issues with the Chucky box, which I've seen your video on. I know you didn't talk too much about it, but I've seen other people's videos where the pictures didn't line up on the front. But other than that, I've never seen an issue with them. I've never heard of anybody. You're actually the reason why I got the Psycho 4K set from Arrow.
How nice was that, dude? How nice is that thing? When you got that in your hands, you're probably just like, this is physical media.
Oh yeah, I know. I was so excited when it came to my door. I was pumped about it. I definitely waited too long because I felt for some reason that was the only one that didn't get like a standard box set after. It was just the premium limited edition, and then it got there was a 3-pack afterwards you can get.
Yeah, where it's just 2, 3, and 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that goes back to licensing. I think some of that stuff, it's just it's timing. They can offer it for a limited period of time, and then other stuff afterwards they can have it for a longer period of time. But I wouldn't recommend anybody get those standard ones. I mean that one that has one in it is such a nice box set, man.
Yeah,
and
it's literally like the last one you'll ever need.
How about Psycho 4? Are you a fan? I really think it's a good movie.
I've actually only seen the first one. So watching all these, like I don't have the Scream Factories.
But
I have them on.
You know about you've heard about how good Psycho 2 was from people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My buddy over at Critic After Dark loves the whole franchise. He says they're all great.
I think you're gonna like, dude. Listen to me. I think 6 out of 10 people will tell you Psycho 2 is better than Psycho. And I thought that would have been crazy, but when I heard that too, I don't want to spoil it. Obviously, if you haven't seen it yet, you will be amazed. You will say, "Oh, this is incredible." But then you learn that it was written by Tom Holland, the great Tom Holland, who did Child's Play and who did Fright Night, and brilliant writer, brilliant human. I'd love to interview him one day, talk to him. It literally has no business being that good. I agree. I think Psycho 2 is better. But 4 is a prequel, but it's also a movie that it's one of those movies that has the backstory going on, but also Norman in real time talking to. I think it was directed by Mick Garris. Brilliant prequel. I hate prequels. That movie, I loved it. Olivia Hussey, huge fan. The kid from E.T., I forget his name, is in it. Great movie. Great movie. I'm excited for you to watch those. You ought to make that a priority soon because Psycho 2 is going to kick your ass. It's that good.
Is Psycho 2, is it where it goes full 80 slasher? Am
No,
I
that's
right?
3. That I did a
Okay.
short. I don't know if you saw it. I did a short about Psycho 3.
Maybe that's why I know this because I saw your
Psycho
short.
3, Psycho 3 is basically Friday the 13th part 5 in terms of sleaziness. It's
Okay.
it is a full 80s slasher film.
Okay.
It's great. But 2 is literally an iconic movie. I can't wait for you to watch that.
Oh, I can't wait to check it out myself. And I asked my wife too, because I'm like, "Are you like at least gonna watch these with me maybe one day?" Because she's not big on older movies for the most part. I've just started creeping her into like the '80s over the last few years,
What is she into?
2000s.
I dig that though. I also
Yep.
dig this. She's into Saw and stuff like that.
Yep.
We'd be friends. I'm a huge Saw fan. That's my generation. That's our generation's Friday the 13th. And when I tell that to people, they say they're not the same. I said, no, you're not getting it. I'm not talking about the movies. Jason is not like Billy the Puppet, but every year in the 80s, people would go to the theater to see the next one and the
Yep.
next one. What did we do? In 2007, we saw Saw 4. Then the next year, we saw Saw 5. Then most people didn't go, but I went. Then I saw Saw 6 the next year. And then I went next year and saw the final chapter. It was my generation. It was a custom. If it was Halloween, there was a new Saw. I don't think people appreciate that enough looking back at those movies. It was a part of pop culture.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It totally changed the genre for horror. And my wife loved, like, she was so excited when they announced Saw 10 and bringing back Tobin Bell.
I hated it.
Did you really?
Don't tell her this. This is my issue with Saw 10. Listen, Brennan, I think you'll agree with me on this, Brennan. Spiral may not be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay? I can admit that. Okay? But at least it did something moving forward. You've got a new story we're telling. Now we're so focused on the past that we're making movies where Shawnee Smith is trying to look like she's 25 or maybe a little bit older, more like 35 with a terrible wig. You're my age, so you watched Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide growing up on Nickelodeon. She looks like Coconut Head from Ned's Declassified. It looks ridiculous. What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's move forward. Now they're going to do another one that's going to be called Saw. It's basically Saw 2.1. And we're going to see Hoffman trying to look 20 years younger. What are we doing? Let's move forward. I understand why I can't be in the movie business, Brennan, because I would be like, no. I'm not saying it's going to be as successful, but let's continue something. Let's be original. Tobin Bell has the excuse of being a cancer patient in the movie, so him being 80 years old in this movie worked. Okay? But no offense to Shawnee, it's not like she's an ugly woman. She's not. She's beautiful. But she's 25 years older than she was when she did the old ones. Like, what are we talking about here? And she has a horrible wig on. I see people giving this movie 5 stars. I'm like, what are you talking about? What? This is ridiculous. Am I living in the Twilight Zone? Now, I understand why people like it, though, too, because this movie's black and white. They made Tobin Bell an anti-hero. Or not an anti-hero, just a hero. He got screwed. But Brennan, those old movies, they were not black and white. They were shades of gray. You didn't really know who was right. You kind of, it's like, yeah, maybe Wahlberg was a little edgy as a cop, but he's still a cop trying to do the job. You've got Jigsaw over here. You got Kramer abducting people, putting them in trap. Like, who's right and who's wrong? Is vigilante murder okay? Is the stuff what he's doing okay? Or is the cops crooked? Like, you had to really pick a side. You had to figure out what you wanted. Now it's just black and white. Jigsaw's the good guy. Then you've got bad guys here. Like, I know that doesn't work for me, brother. Like, that does not work for me. So I am not a fan of Saw X.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Can you see where I'm not saying you have to agree with me. Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yep, of course. I can definitely see that. I was honestly surprised when they did announce that Tobin Bell was coming back. And Shawnee Smith as well, which took me for another big loop. But I liked it because it did feed on that nostalgia of seeing them back in their big famous roles and telling a new story within that time period. I did rate it higher than I think Spiral, but I only gave Spiral a one-shot watch, and that was about it. I particularly wasn't too big of a fan of it, but it's something I'll have to revisit eventually.
I'm in the minority, and again, I'm in the minority here. You are like most people with this movie. You enjoyed it. I don't think it's a badly made film, but like I'm just thinking to myself, we have got to move forward. What's next? Like, what the fuck is next? Who are we going to pretend is 25 years younger in a movie, and they're not? Like what are we doing? This is like, we can no longer make fun of 30-year-olds being high schoolers in 90s movies. We can't do that anymore. We can't, because Shawnee Smith just broke that glass ceiling to the next level. She's in her 50s with a horrible wig on, trying to pretend like she's 30 again. It doesn't work to me. I'm sorry. I need to shut up about this.
No, it's okay.
But I really felt like I was in the Twilight Zone when this movie was coming out.
Where would you like to see the franchise go? Like how could
forward,
you,
Brandon?
I know forward, but where could you potentially see a storyline going?
It's not even necessarily that I have an answer for that. Like, what I think is Spiral. Spiral isn't as iconic, but what we could do is build off of that trajectory and go forward with that. Maybe we don't have to use Chris Rock again, but like, just, I'm really okay with the idea of somebody being a successor killer, or not even killer really, but like the successor to Kramer, the way Hoffman was. And Hoffman's story had time to build, Brendan. It had time to build. We had 3 or 4 movies where they really became about Hoffman. Yeah. Like, we gotta keep the train rolling and work on that. But which is probably why Spiral in my eyes now, thinking back, may not be a good idea, because Chris Rock's one and done. He's not going to want to do another one. And I don't think people really accepted him in a horror movie that much anyway, even though I didn't think he was that bad, but I get it. It's like, it's too jarring to people. He's a comedian. So I just think we should start something. We'd have to almost reboot from where Spiral is and do something new again. I like the idea of somebody being a successor, doing Kramer's work for him. What about that dude that was at the end of Jigsaw? What happened to him? That was taking place during the first movie. Where's that guy at? He's not dead. And where's he? I'd like that guy. I mean, his backstory wasn't much. And it's like, how much shit was Kramer dealing with? How many people? He's spying out of windows, catching people kill their baby. Like, the reality is, Brennan, there's too much of these movies, probably. That's the reality. Because, like, how much more shit could there go with this? But, I like the movie. So at the same time, it's just like, let's just build on something going forward. Even though Jigsaw was somewhat of a swerve to people because they thought they were seeing an old school Saw film, when in actuality they weren't. They were seeing something going forward. I would have built off that. Now this guy's the next Jigsaw. Let's tell his story. Let's see what he's going to do. Who is he going to go after now? And you could do social commentary stuff and political stuff. Because that's kind of what those movies were a little bit anyway, especially like 6 with the insurance agency stuff. I love that. So that's what I would do. And some people would say, well, Christian, that's not going to work. Nobody cares about that guy from the end of Jigsaw. Well, maybe they will. Let's give him more. Let's keep going. But that's the thing. People want Kramer, and that's why I'm not in the movie business. They want Kramer. I'm wrong. You're right, Brendan. I'm wrong. I know that. I'm wrong. Okay? Well, not you. I'm wrong.
People got to remember that Kramer wasn't also he was basically just a myth in the beginning of the Saw franchise. He had his story told over the course of 3, maybe even 4 movies. Like, he wasn't even. He had what, maybe 4 minutes of screen time in the first movie.
Yeah,
and they
were very important minutes. So it's like, I get it. That movie catapulted itself with how iconic those 4 minutes were when he gets his ass off the ground. So I mean, look, what do I know? I'm fully aware that nobody agrees with me on this, and that's fine. But again, man, I've been on the internet for a long time. At a certain point, you just tell yourself, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna be honest about how I feel about this." But I try to be respectful, Brent. I don't say, are you guys idiots? Like, of course not. Like, people are smart. They know that's Shawnee Smith wearing a wig, and she looks silly. They could forgive that, and that's fine. I couldn't forgive it. So, but I don't make fun of my audience for that. I just express how I feel, and then people say, "Hey, Christian, that's awesome. I enjoyed it though," and we move on. Right? We move on.
Yeah, of course. How do you feel about the horror genre right now, and where do you think it could potentially be going? Do you like where
I have a love-hate relationship with it, Brendan.
Okay.
Can I get on my soapbox for a second?
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Listen to me, okay? I am a fan of the old school Universal characters. I think the greatest horror villain of all time is probably Dracula. Okay? I mean, I really do. You don't understand how excited I was when there was the announcement of a new Dracula film with Nicolas Cage in Renfield. I was really excited. Okay? I was there day one.
Okay.
Guess who went to the theater? Nobody. People didn't want to go see that. I was devastated. Then Universal tried again. Okay, we're gonna give you guys. You didn't want the comedy? That's fine. Last Voyage of the Demeter. This is no joke. Guess who went to the theater? Nobody. I still haven't gotten over that. I think Last Voyage was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Nobody went to the theater to see it. Okay? Now, Robert Eggers, who people love for The Witch. All right? Now he's bringing us Nosferatu. I truly can't take another Dracula bomb theater-wise. I can't handle it. I mean, it's going to crush me. So I need you to have your ass and your wife at the theater in December for this movie. I cannot handle another Dracula bomb. I can't do it. Okay? I think there's good stuff and there's bad stuff, just like anybody else probably. What I do appreciate, though, Brennan, is how the little guys are getting a voice now with theaters. My second favorite movie of the year was the Late Night with the Devil. That was a small little movie that got put into theaters with conjunction of Shudder and I think IFC or something. That wouldn't have happened years ago. Right? Those movies get into theaters. I wouldn't say it's in my top 5, but I really enjoyed In a Violent Nature. That's a small little movie, but it got put into Cinemarks and I think maybe Regal theaters for a limited time. So I like that, but also, I try not to look at what the genre is as a whole, because I don't think that's really fair. I just try to take stuff at face value. I can tell you if I think it's been a good year or a bad year. Do I think this year's been a good year? I think it's been pretty good. Okay. I can tell you the movies that I've seen this year. I've seen a lot of 4-star movies. I don't give out 5s that easily. Right. I really try not to. Like, to me, if it's a 5-star movie, that means if I say Maxine is a 5-star movie, Brandon, I'm essentially saying that this movie is as good as The Shining. And I have to really stop myself and say, Christian, is Maxine as good as The Shining? The answer is no. But I really liked Maxine. So I'll rate it 3 or 3.5, 4 stars. I really liked In a Violent Nature. I know it didn't work for some people. For me, I was totally immersed in this movie. Okay. I felt like you were a voyeur watching this. It's like you're watching something you're not supposed to see. Right? Like, that was unique. We hadn't done that in the slasher genre before. It was an experiment. I understand why I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. And Brandon, when I watch it here, I'm lights out. I'm going to turn the lights out. I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to get immersed in it again because I feel like I'm watching murder take place when I'm not supposed to see it. Right? It's almost like you're a clairvoyant and you're watching this movie. You're not supposed to, I thought it was brilliant, but it didn't work for people. Some people say, it doesn't work for me, and that's fine. But I loved it. But I have to stop myself and say, well, Christian, is it a 5-star movie? No, it's not as good as The Shining. And I use The Shining as my template of a 5-star movie. You could swap it out with Shawshank Redemption or whatever you want to. It's Titanic, whatever you may think is a 5-star movie. But I think there's been a lot of 3.5, 4-star movies this year, which I think is good. I think we've had a pretty good year, right? And I think there's stuff that's coming out that I have high hopes for. You strike me as an Alien fan. Maybe you're excited for Alien Romulus.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely. Well, Fede Alvarez is coming in to direct a new franchise. I'm very excited.
So I've got high hopes that I think there's a real shot this could be movie of the year. I really do. So I think we're in an okay place right now. It's weird, right? I feel like we're also on the tail end of this reboot, requel era, whatever you want to call it. I don't quibble over definition too much, but people give me shit when I say, oh, I love the Friday the 13th remake. It's a goddamn reboot. I'm like, Jesus, man, give me a break. Like, okay. Like, you know what I'm talking about. The 2009 movie. Jesus. But my point is, I feel like we're on the tail end of that. The question is, what's next? Right?
Yeah.
I have no fucking clue what's next. Right? Maybe history just continues to repeat itself. Right? And I don't know what happens after that. And naturally we'll just see. But I don't know, man. I think we're in an okay place right now because A24 has given a voice to people. Whether you love A24 movies or not, some people find A24 movies pretentious and boring. Other people love A24. I'll see it and I'll tell you if I like it, right? Like Talk to Me, I thought it was pretty good. I like that. I loved Iron Claw, which isn't horror, but my point is I loved that movie. Some stuff I watched from A24, like I think it was called The Green Knight or something, or what it is. I wasn't that into it. Civil War, I saw that. That's pretty good. Wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't watch a trailer for that or anything. So I was expecting something a little bit more crazy. And I still kind of laugh with, I don't know if you saw that. So spoiler alert, but like, I kind of laugh when there's gang warfare going on and people with press shirts on are just taking pictures of it and they're not getting shot. Like, what? But my point is, like, I thought that was okay. But if it's a good something for H24, I like it. But my point is, Brandon, what I like about them is you can't tell me, you can't watch X, Pearl, or Maxine and say, man, that studio interference in that movie worked well. There's no studio interference. That is a guy with a vision making movies, which is the way it should be, which is why movies from the 80s and 90s are everlasting because they're not studio interfered movies. Sometimes studio interference can be a good thing, Brennan. I can give you a great example of that, in my opinion. But in actuality, when you've got talented people writing and directing their own movies, to me, that's the key, especially with horror, right? So I think we're in a pretty good place. I can't complain. I could, but I'm not going to.
I like that you brought up the A24 and just more independent filmmakers are getting the chance to tell their own stories. You got Damien Leone. Like, these low-budget slasher films are getting the forefront of theater releases all of a sudden, and it was just a craze.
It was a craze. I think the Terrifier 2 run was one of the more exciting times. I don't think 3 is going to have the same oomph because you can't replicate entering the domain like that again.
Yeah.
Look, I grew up listening to Howard Stern my whole life. I was going to work one morning listening to Howard Stern. He was talking about Terrifier 2. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Howard Stern doesn't talk about movies, much less independent, kooky ass clown movies. That's how much traction Terrifier 2 had. It was supposed to be in theaters for a day, Brendan.
Yep.
They kept they're like, we can't pull this. It's making too much money. They couldn't pull it. So 3 is not going to have that same effect. You can't reintroduce yourself. Right? You can't really do that. So it's going to be fun, but the magic that 2 had, I'll never forget it. And it's cool. Did you see that in the theaters when it came out?
No, unfortunately I did not.
God, you Canadians. But like my point is like I can look back and say I was a part of that. And that feels cool. I was a part of that. I went to the theater and I saw this movie in Louisiana and it was full of horror fanatics. And I'm looking around like, you people exist? I was sure I was going to be the only idiot in this theater tonight. It was packed. They were all wearing clown art shirts. I'd never seen anything like this in my life. They were yelling. They were hollering at the screen when Art came out. When he started killing people, they were, yeah. It was like it was like I was watching a boxing match. I had never experienced anything in the theater to that level in my life. I was thinking to myself, this has to would have been like watching Friday the 13th Part 7 in the theater in the 80s. Like when Jason comes out, people get up and they cheer. Like it was incredible. I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just saying like that's how amazing the experience was. Truly amazing. I'll never forget it.
I honestly can't say I don't think I've ever had a theater experience like that. We even went and saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
Very nice.
Yeah, you know what? It's a lot better than I was expecting.
Didn't you know that damn owl was freaky, man?
Yep.
And he talked like a Greek god. Yeah, you will. All that stuff he was saying, shit.
Yeah. But we didn't have that kind of energy even with that movie. And going into that movie, you know exactly what you're getting into. And we still didn't have that same type of crowd. So I'm hoping that when Terrifier 3 does come out and we get to go see it in theaters, that the art fanatics come out and we get an experience.
I hope you do, man, because it was crazy. This is how crazy the Terrifier fans are. I signed it, by the way. At least I think I did. There was like this thing going on, like a petition going around. You know how in movie theaters now, everything's about these popcorn buckets. People are going nuts over these popcorn buckets. Which, do you have Cineplexes by you? Okay, so maybe they'll get it. Because, like, it's so funny. I'm the biggest Ghostbusters fan. So when they had the Slimer popcorn bucket, there was a Cinemark one where he's holding a red popcorn bucket. And then there was the Canadian variant, which I call it, which was the Cineplex one. I had a Canadian buddy send me one because I was like, I got to have the Canadian version of this Slimer bucket. But my point is, there's a petition going around right now that they want Terrifier 3 to have an art head popcorn bucket. They want this to happen. So if it does, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, because there's so many people demanding it. I wouldn't be surprised if Cineplexes get it. So that'll be cool. And of course, I want to Art the Clown popcorn bucket. Don't you? I mean, who doesn't want that? That'd be so funny. So I mean, it's going to be a big deal. I'm not trying to downplay it, but like, dude, the magic of 2, you can't replicate that ever again. It's just incredible.
Well, my fingers are crossed for 3. The trailer drops tomorrow. New trailer drops tomorrow, so we'll see.
I don't watch trailers. I gave up on trailers, Brennan. I've quit. I don't do trailers anymore.
I don't blame you, and I bet you I know exactly why, and it's because the trailers explain the whole movie. You don't need to watch trailer. You don't even need to watch the movie anymore.
Yeah. Jason Blum basically gives his movies away.
Oh, it's not just Jason Blum. It's everybody.
Yeah, but he's really bad about it. But you're right. No, so I've given up on trailers, which is why going into Longlegs, which is my favorite movie of the year. Have you seen Longlegs?
Yeah, we watched it. Opening weekend.
You don't sound that enthusiastic to me, though.
It was
That's
packed
fine.
theater. You know what? Packed theater. It was the most full theater that I think going to the movies this year that I have been a part of.
But you didn't like it, did you?
I did like it, but I need a rewatch.
Brendan, he's Tiny Tim. That's who he is. Like, not literally, but can you not tell me that was not... Have you seen Blood Harvest?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Tiny Tim was in a horror movie in the 80s called Blood Harvest.
Okay.
Him as Longlegs. Now, the director, Oz Perkins, claims he hadn't seen Blood Harvest and it wasn't a Tiny Tim connection. But, dude, that is a satanic, like, version of, like, a Tiny Tim character. I loved it. That movie was so... You know what I loved about it, Brennan? There wasn't... I love horror comedies. My favorite movie is Return of the Living Dead. There wasn't a drop of humor in this goddamn movie. It was as serious as a heart attack from start to finish, and it never lets you lean back and take a deep breath and relax. The whole movie kept you on edge. It was brilliant. Now, I'm not trying to change your mind on the movie. I just really loved it. I'm a huge Nicolas Cage fan. I think that was top 2 or 3 of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies, performances I've ever seen. It will be a cult classic. Mark my words. And you know what the beauty is? There will be no sequels. None. It's not going to be a franchise. It's one movie, Brennan.
You say that now until the prequel decides they pump enough money and get the prequel going.
I forget about prequels. You're right. No, but I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just, dude, I loved it. I loved it so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was okay. I have to give it another rewatch. I kept comparing it in my mind to um, Silence of the Lambs.
That's fair. A lot of people were, and I think it was because of like the detective stuff and her point of view, and I see that. I see
It,
that. But to me, I don't personally make the correlation, but I see that for sure.
yeah,
I don't.
because it's a female FBI agent in the '90s. She's a woman. She's going after a serial killer alone by the end of the movie. All the similarities are there, and it's my fault. I shouldn't have. I have to kind of stop doing that, where he ends up
No, but you
thinking
can't
about
help.
another
It's
movie.
natural. You can't help it. Like
Yeah.
I get that. I truly get that. But again, I don't know if you watch trailers, but like I said, dude, going into that without knowing anything, I'm never watching a trailer again in my life. I refuse. I
You know
truly
what?
refuse. Look how happy I am because I stopped watching trailers.
The best part about that movie and its marketing was it had the best marketing around. I remember when the first two trailers for that movie dropped, they were less than 30-second trailers. They were about 15 seconds of a still image of her wall, her like crime scene wall layout. And it would just zoom in slowly and you'd get a 911 phone call. And then you just listen to the audio of it. And then you don't even get the movie title. You just get the crazy writing that he does, the Zodiac writing. And then that was it. Those were the first two
Brilliant.
trailers. Yeah, absolutely. I was hooked. I didn't even know what it was called. I didn't even know those two trailers were connected to Longlegs until months later. And then right before the movie came out, they put out a website designed like a '90s website, like the Blair Witch Project, and they had the crime documents on it, pictures and articles and everything like that. But then the final trailer for that movie, I guess, just spoiled everything almost. So it was close to perfect marketing for that movie.
Well, good on them, man, because apparently it's very successful. Like you said, your theater was packed for it. So this just goes to show that your movies may not be bad. Like I said, Last Voyage, in my opinion, but they're not you can't just throw a trailer. It doesn't work. You have to. They were called teaser trailers for a reason. They tease you. They get you interested. Back in the day, Brennan, John Carpenter would film stuff that wasn't even a part of the movie for the trailer. They would film stuff for a trailer, right?
Yeah.
Remember The Fog? Remember that? You just see the teaser for The Fog was brilliant because it was literally just like you hear this voice talking and you see fog rolling in, and then you get this shot of like almost like still water, and you see a ghost hand pop up, and boom, the fog comes up. No, that's not in the movie. That was brilliant. It got you ready for these movies. They don't do that anymore. They literally just chop up parts of the movie, edit it to make it seem like it's going a million miles an hour, have a jump scare right at the very end, title sequence. And I just described every Blumhouse trailer.
Oh yeah,
That's what they do.
Yeah, every trailer. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you didn't watch the Crow remake trailer.
Only because it was played in the theater that I saw that. Only because
No.
it played in the theater that I had to sit there and watch it.
Yep. You can't tell me that after watching that trailer, you're like, I don't need to see that movie anymore.
No, I'm not the biggest Crow fan to begin with, but dude, my wife is saying that this is going to be this generation's Twilight in terms of like what it does for like all the ladies. They're gonna worship Skarsgård in this movie. They're gonna buy t-shirts and cutouts of him. Like it's gonna have the same effect that Twilight did with this movie. And I agree. I think it is. I think if you look at, this guy is gonna be a heartthrob. The girls are gonna love him. I think it's gonna be successful. I do think that, but I'm not. I wasn't interested to begin with.
Okay, I do understand him being a heartthrob, but do I think that this is the movie that's gonna like launch that persona of him? Like, did you see he's got a tattoo of a dude, and the dude's eye is his nipple tattooed on his chest.
But see that this is, you got to remember, like you're a millennial like me. We don't know what works anymore. That's just reality. We don't know these Gen Zs, man. They're weird. They're into shit like that. They like this kind of shit. I'm telling you, man. Nowadays, it's like I got tattoos, right? But like nowadays, like these people, they do crazy shit. You know, like I can totally see. I really think it's going to be a smash hit.
Oh wow!
Maybe not critically, but I think it's going to be a smash hit. I think it's going to do big numbers, more than the old one.
Okay. Guess what time will tell. I got another couple more physical media releases for you.
Sure.
Or topics. Sorry. I love the whole tangents. I think we're doing awesome. So besides the new Nightmare on Elm Street, I know you're a huge Fred head. What would be something that you'd like to see released on 4K?
Great question. It's hard to answer that because so much stuff is coming out. A safe answer, or something that also quickly comes to mind, is what I consider to be one of the greatest slasher films of all time, and that is Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. They have put out Friday Part 1 on 4K. They're supposed to be putting out Part 2, from what I hear. I know a few people, but there's been some delays. I want to see Final Chapter in 4K because I consider it to be one of the greatest slasher films ever made. And I think it just looks like it's such a nasty, dark slasher film. Watching it, it's just all the woods. Anything that's shot outside in the woods, to me, I'm always excited to see that in 4K because I think outdoors you get the best image quality. You can't replicate the sun. You can get close with LED, but you can't replicate the power of the sun and what it can do for film. So, like anything that's shot outdoors, I want to see in 4K. But I'm trying to give you a better answer than that because I feel like that's a fail safe. I'll give you one, dude. This is a nerdy, dorky answer. Return of the Living Dead Part 2, which is one of my favorite comfort movies of all time. It's gorgeous. The makeup designs for the zombies have all these great blue textures to them. It's a very well shot movie. I would love to see that in 4K. I really would. I wouldn't be surprised if Scream Factory does announce that because they have the license to that movie on Blu-ray, and it would just be another reissue. That would be something I'd be happy to see. Dorky answer, I know, but I love Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
I haven't seen it since high school. I think I went through the whole franchise way back in the day, and that's been it. I haven't revisited any of them since. I just actually picked up Return of the Living Dead on 4K about a month ago or so, and I still have to give it a watch on 4K.
Dude, that is the greatest. I'm sorry. That's my favorite movie in the world of all time. I love it.
Yep, I think it's really good too. So what would be your most lackluster new release, or like in recent memory of either it's a 4K upgrade or anything like that? I love it. I need to get my fucking basement set up so I can just turn around and look at my shit too.
You know, it's funny. Like you're catching me. You're getting the exclusive of this. Now I don't know when you're posting this, but like I literally just finished redoing this today, and I wanted to make it look like Silence of the Lambs, so I made it brick.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to make it legitimately look. I was watching Silence of the Lambs, and I was like, you know what? I love the look of the brick in there. I wonder if I can get like brick panels. Sure enough, I could. So I put those up, and now I got my stuff set up. In terms of picture quality, I would have to say stuff like what we talked about earlier is really just an experiment for me to get it. But you know, the not Five Nights at Freddy's, you know what I'm talking about, the Nicolas Cage movie,
Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. But there's other stuff I've gotten from Scream Factory, man, on 4K, just because I'm a big fan of the movie. But in terms of special features, they just don't do anything, or they pull stuff off that was on the old releases, which is just as big of a crime to me. So, oh no, I got it. And I love Charles Band. The Trancers 4K was horrible. I literally think they just put the Blu-ray scan on the 4K and called it a 4K. I had to review that. I got sent that from MVD to review. I felt so bad. I actually had to message my contact and say, listen, I'm going to drop my review for this movie, but I'm going to let you know right now, it's not, I cannot sugarcoat how bad this looked. Luckily, my guy was like, dude, I'm not asking you to lie. So I didn't lie, but it was so bad, Brandon. I had to message the guy my rep and tell him, hey, I'm about to drop this review, but I apologize. I can't say anything good about it. So don't buy if you ever see Trancers on 4K, I don't know if you've seen that movie. It was an 80s title that was under the Charles Band umbrella with Empire. It's horrible. It looks like shit. So don't get that. That's probably one of the worst ones of all time.
Okay.
Great movie though.
Okay. Now, before we also got onto the show, I did ask you to pick out a couple of your favorite media releases.
Sure.
You want to I also picked out a couple, so you want to show one off?
I want to see what you got first. I really do, because I feel like I'm getting to know you. I'm dying to see what you have.
All right.
Unless you want me to go first.
No,
it's
I'll
up
go
to you.
first.
But I'm excited. I want to see what you got.
And
if I don't like it, I will critique you.
Oh, absolutely. I think
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I got Tremors here.
Classic. Is that sealed?
No, I just keep the plastic on it to make sure that
you're like you like one of those guys when you get the vinyls, you slit right down in the center where it opens up, and then you just pull your records out and then you keep the plastic on.
Try to.
I dig it.
Oh man, what a perfect release. This is the Blu-ray.
That's what I got. It's a 4K scan Blu-ray though. I mean, that still looks really good.
Yeah, it does. I actually ended up picking up the Steelbook that they did too, the 4K Steelbook.
Gorgeous.
When I got the TV and stuff, because I just had to. I had no
Tremors,
choice.
Yeah.
I love Tremors. It's a favorite classic movie for me growing up. It comes with a booklet. You get the poster. You get this awesome hard box.
Yeah.
It's such a fantastic release, and I really am banking that they do 1 through 4. I think if they do 1 through 4, all on these hard boxes,
you'll be happy with 1 through 4.
Oh, I'd be sad. I'm not that big of a fan of the Jamie Kennedy ones. I don't know if you are or not, but
I mean, I can watch Shrieker Island.
Yeah, but that's Hader, right? John Hader.
It was, wasn't it? Kennedy. Yeah. Look. The reality is, I watch those movies because I love Michael Gross, and I was a big Family Ties fan. I used to love watching that show when I was a kid, and I still do, quite frankly. But like Michael Gross really carried me through those movies. But yeah, I hear you. I hear you with the Jamie Kennedy. I hear you. So I like 4 way more than 3. Please tell me you agree.
Oh, 100%. I think 4 is so underrated.
Yeah.
And if they would skip 3 altogether, it wouldn't hurt my feelings and just do 4, because 4 is the last one made by Stampede, who they made 1 through 4, right? So then after that, it's just whoever did the rest of them. So if I could get those ones all in different colors too, like I love how Tremors 2 is green instead of this orange. I would love that. I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Did you get Tremors 2? Did you get Tremors 2 in green, or did you get the?
Yeah, I got the green. Yeah.
Some people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the website exclusive so I can get the same color." I'm like, "But it's green. Like it's green. Like you don't like green? Like you gotta get the green one. What are you talking about? Get the brown one." See, I got the green one too. I love the green one.
I think it makes them both pop. Yeah, on the
I
shelf.
agree. Yeah. Make the next one purple. Like we gotta get a rainbow going. You know, I agree. You want me to go with one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, okay. Listen to me. This right here. Are you aware of what this is?
I am.
Do you have this?
I don't.
Okay. Let me tell you why I grabbed this. Okay. You're probably saying, well, Christian, that's not better than the Friday the 13th Scream Factory box set. I'm sure you're thinking that. Listen to me, though. You have to understand something, Brennan. When this came out, this set, this complete collection of Friday the 13th, nothing like this had been done before. You have to remember, this was before Scream Factory did Halloween's collection. This was before all of that. You have to understand the pandemonium and the excitement that this had when it was announced. It was like nothing I had ever seen, because it really was the first on a higher definition, right? No, Nightmare on Elm Street has that classic DVD box set. When this came out, I was listen, Nightmare is my number 1. If this is Nightmare, Friday the 13th is just like right here. It's so close you couldn't even tell the difference on a scale. That's how close I love them, right? This was the most exciting release of my life when it came out. And I like it a lot. Like I really like I love the fact that It's Jason Goes to Hell on the front. I love Jason Goes to Hell. I don't apologize for that. I love the embossing of this on everything. And, you know, it very much screams the times now when looking back of the early 2000s. But I love the extras. You get this way stretched out wristband, a mini Crystal Lake Memories booklet, which the real book is amazing. I highly recommend that. And you know, you've got your this is what that Hellraiser 4K set was like. Like I said, the movies were kind of like on pages like this. But I love this. This was amazing. When this came out, this was truly amazing. There's problems with this, like they didn't give us the unrated version of Jason Goes to Hell on Blu-ray. The digital code had it, but the disc was actually the rated version, which Scream Factory fixed that after screwing that up themselves as well. But this was, at the time, Brennan, this was the bee's knees when it came out. This was the coolest thing that on physical media when it happened. So I'll always look back at this as a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite physical media. I even kept this thing, right? Like this just came, I kept it. Like I couldn't get rid of it. So like I just keep it on there. This is one of my favorite physical media releases of all time. I always tell people, if you see this in the wild for a fair price, get it, because Brennan, it's history. This was before boutique labels did this kind of stuff. This is when the big studios did it. It's a little bit wonky. Like, what is that font? That's not the Friday the 13th font. I still like it. Why is Jason Goes to Hell on the cover of this? Why didn't they use part 3? Why didn't they put Pamela on here? Well, I know why they didn't put Pamela on here, but like they put Brennan, they put Jason Goes to Hell on the front of this. Not final chapter, not Jason Live. They put Jason Go. It's wonky in certain areas, but that's what makes it so unique and special. So this is one of my favorite physical media releases of all time.
Oh, that's a great pick. I remember when that came out, but I was unwilling to upgrade to the Blu-ray yet. Like I didn't start collecting Blu-rays until 5 years ago. When I met my wife is when I started collecting the Blu-rays. So literally just before the pandemic, it seems like. So I'm so far behind in the times. Like when that came out, there was that DVD,
the DVD sets
1 through 8, and it was like the nice embraided one too with the hockey mask on the front.
And I love that one too. I collect all that. I collect Friday the 13th physical media. I get a joy out of collecting Friday the 13th stuff. But listen, dude, don't look at it as a negative. Look at it. Listen, you are literally collecting physical media right now at the absolute. You're in the golden era. We're making no mistake. You are in it right now. You are in the golden era right now, which is a good thing and a bad thing because it's impossible to keep up, like we talked about. But literally, the best releases of movies are coming out right now for the most part. Okay, not every company's putting out their best efforts, but for a lot, like this opera set coming up from Severin, dude. I don't know if you're a fan of those movies, those Dario movies. This opera release is going to be insane. You will know everything. You will know everything humanly possible about that movie by the time you consume all the features on that. You will be an expert on opera. An expert on it. That's how much special features and interviews and stuff they have on this release. It's incredible. So you're in it.
Me and my wife actually just watched opera a few months ago for the first time for our podcast that we were doing.
Did you like it?
We did like it. Yeah, we gave it a good score. I love the crows and stuff like that. Yeah, really, really impressed actually, because that was our first introduction into any Italian horror.
Oh wow! See,
yeah,
I wouldn't recommend opera as the opening for Italian. I would recommend the stuff that blurs the lines a little bit. Demons. Have you heard of that? Oh, you did watch that one.
Yeah, I've watched it after.
Okay, I was gonna say. Those are movies that I call those baby step Italian horror movies, because you'll notice, wait a minute, is that Motley Crue? Is that Go West? Man, like, okay, but they were really trying to sell those movies to American markets is what they were doing. So they really kind of make you feel like you're watching something akin to an American movie, stuff like that. Please to God, tell me you've seen Lucio Fulci's Zombie.
Years ago, but yes, I've seen that.
Okay, that to me, that's the greatest Italian horror movie of all time.
Yeah, you just put out a short on From Beyond. Was that today?
Today, man. And listen to me. You watched that one?
No, but you made me put it on my list.
Listen to me, okay? That was shot in New Orleans, where I'm from. That movie has moments. I'm not going to spoil that. Don't worry. There are moments in the Beyond that are things you won't. You're going to have these weird feelings in this movie of like, why does this seem familiar? I don't know how Fulci did this. He has moments in those movies that are literally vague, nightmarish scenarios you've had in your head when you were a kid dreaming. And it's not stuff you've ever conceptualized to yourself out loud. But I'm telling you, when you watch this movie, you're going to have these weird moments of deja vu and say, why does this seem so oddly familiar to me? Because there's stuff in here that are so nightmarish that you'll get. I'm telling you, it is incredible. That is easily top 3 Lucio Fulci. You're going to love that. I highly recommend The Beyond.
All right.
Yeah, write that down.
I know I watched your video and I actually sent it to Sam and I'm like, maybe this is something that we should watch because it's been a while since we have actually gotten like legit scared in a movie.
Dude, it's good. It's really good.
What
else you got? What else you got?
I got one more here. So I got, of course, t-shirt. I got the Steelbook Scream Factory release of Army of Darkness. This is sealed, actually. I still haven't opened this. I got it, the bundle pack or whatever, when it first came out. This was like the first time I have ever purchased anything off of Scream Factory's website because I wanted the poster because I think the Steelbook, just the artwork on it's amazing. And then you get the standard too as well and everything like that. And like you said, it's got the documentaries on it. And
I wasn't going to grab that release at first until I realized that they actually did 4K scans of. You've got the 4K of, I think it's the theatrical cut, but the other versions, they did 4K scans of those. So they were better than the old releases. So I was like, oh my God, that's great. My favorite cut's the international cut with the Shop S Smart. And when they go back to the store, that's my favorite version of the film, which is the international cut. And they did a 4K scan of that. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. So that is actually a sensational release. And I don't know if you're going to open that up. I hope you do. The discs are amazing because every disc features the art from the different, because Army of Darkness had literally the greatest posters of all time. Every poster was a 10 out of 10. The theatrical, which is clearly a riff off of National Lampoon's Vacation. The red poster where he's doing this.
Yeah.
He's jacked. That poster's on the other disc. There's a quad Army of Darkness poster where it's like it's a quad poster, which means like it's like a sideways poster where it's like this kind of big purplish hue poster with him with his chainsaw hand. That's on the other, and there's another poster that's slipping me that they used the discs have the best art on them. They utilized all the posters from Army of Darkness. That is one of the best steelbook releases Scream Factory ever did, hands down. And I'm glad I bought it.
Oh, me too. I know. And I was an idiot and I thought, why do I need to keep my standard release? And I sold it. Well, now I still haven't even opened this, so I haven't even seen it in 4K yet.
So like I said, that is your end all be all. I don't mind you selling that. That release right there, that is actually a case of Scream Factory putting their best foot forward and making that a great release. So that release is that's probably my favorite steelbook release that they've done. So you're okay with selling that. But I'm telling you, when you open that up and you look at the disc, you're gonna say, "Oh my God, it's gorgeous." Just flipping through them and looking at the discs are amazing.
They're just the same discs that were used in the Blu-ray, right? Because I do have the Blu-ray steelbook as well.
Well, I don't remember. No, that is a multi. You talking about the old Army of Darkness steelbook?
Yeah.
I don't remember if they had the same disc art. I don't own that Blu-ray set.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the discs were on the standard version, but I'm just telling you, on that set, those discs look amazing. They may have used the same discs. They may have used the posters for that old steelbook. But regardless, like I said, those are 4K scans on all those too, which might have been the case on the old steelbook. I don't know. I never had that, but that is a great steelbook. I'm kind of hoping Scream Factory announces a little bit more. I like this still. They've stepped up the game with their still books, like The Fog and Army of Darkness, and They Live. Don't get me started on the artwork on that They Live still book. I loved it. They Live one looked incredible.
The problem is they're doing their 4K releases, and then a year later they're doing the steelbook.
So what I've learned is to take calculated risks, and it paid off. Guess what? They put Evil Dead 13 out on 4K. And I was just like, I'm not getting that. They have literally nothing. There's nothing on there. I was like, I'm not going to get that right now. Like, I love that movie, but I'm not going to get that. Guess what they announced last month?
Yeah, the steelbook.
And I don't own it on 4K, and I don't need it on 4K, to be honest with you. But that steelbook, I was like, oh man. And plus, I've got a custom hard box that the Blockbuster box set guy made that I'm going to use for that. And it's just okay. I got to get that now.
I know. I think I'm gonna end up picking up that other steelbook too. I did get the collector's edition when it came out, and then I got that pop art. Have you ever seen the pop art?
Oh, sure, yeah.
For the Evil Dead 2013.
Yeah, I don't have it, but those pop art. I like those pop arts. Those cool.
they look good, especially the 2013 one. It's like her. She's like already cut her tongue down in the middle, and it's dripping in blood into the house. It looks awesome, but I'm like, this is my franchise where it's just
That's your favorite one?
Yeah, like Evil Dead. Every bit of physical media that comes out for it, I have to.
That's cool, dude.
Have a VHS, DVD. I don't have the Groovy collection. That's the only thing I don't have. I fucked up.
You got this, right?
No, I'm also missing that.
Did you see the video I did on this?
I did. I know. I've been trying to find it.
Bro, go on eBay. Did you not see it on eBay?
I didn't look there. I'd like to try to hit up the local pawn shops around.
I God bless you for that. I tell people to do that, but this ain't no pawn shop release. You ain't gonna find that there. That's just the cold hard reality.
Like I got the old DVD Necronomicons. You remember
those are cool. Oh yeah. Those are awesome. Okay, let me show you my other one I got. This is probably one of my favorite Arrow box sets of all time. This was the Enter the Video Store Arrow box set. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with Charles Band. Obviously, he runs Full Moon Features now, which is Puppet Master and all that. He ran a company in the 80s called Empire. Now, Empire put out Reanimator, Ghoulies, From Beyond, all kinds of 80s classics. A lot of sci-fi stuff, a lot of horror sci-fi, action sci-fi, and he worked a lot with Stuart Gordon, who is one of the greatest horror directors. And Arrow licensed out a number of titles from the Empire catalog, which is now owned by MGM, not Charles Band, because he went bankrupt and sold this company and then started Full Moon. But what I love about this is, look at this. They make it look like a video store. And there's art featuring the characters from the movies on here.
Yep.
So this side, what's cool about this side, do I have this backwards? Yeah, I totally have this backwards like a jackass. Okay, so here, now this makes sense. This is the back. This is the back of the video store. This is the front of video store with all the characters from the movies in front of the video store. Here's the store. I love this so much. And this box set is really cool. You open up the top. This is what they're doing. You open up your top, and on the inside you got your movies. Look at this, Brennan. You would love this. Cellar Dweller. It's a John Buechler film who directed Friday the 13th Part 7. It's about this girl who goes to work at for this company drawing comics, but she works in like this old dungeon, and in the dungeon is the Cellar Dweller, and you see him a lot in the movie. It's great. Stuart Gordon also did a sci-fi movie that was a pretty big classic called Robot Jocks, which is basically like an 80s version of like some of those robot movies like Bumblebee and all that coming out now. This was a good movie. Okay. One of the most iconic 80s films. You're going to recognize this. Dolls. You probably saw that as a kid on the VHS shelves. Classic movie. Stuart Gordon as well. One of the most underrated 80s kind of movies to me was The Dungeon Master, directed by who directed this? There's a lot of people that were involved with directing this movie, but it features one of my favorite bands of all time, Wasp, as a performance in this movie. And this was on the Blu-ray for the first time. Another Charlie Band Empire classic, another one of those sci-fi movies called Arena, where it's like, galactic fighting, where this guy fights monsters. And good movie. Directed by, produced by Irwin Yablans, which I'm sure you're a Halloween fan. Irwin Yablans was basically the creator of Halloween, if you want to really break it down. Produced this movie. So this was a great box set, and then it comes with this booklet that makes it look like it was a mini Arrow Video magazine. So this is
cool.
such a sensational release. All great movies. If you're into kind of just like cult 80s movies, great. Rumor has it they're going to make a volume 2 of this with more movies from the Empire catalog, but time will tell. Time will tell for sure. But yeah, this is what I call this is a shelf topper. This is one of those releases so nice you don't put it on the shelf, you put it on top of the shelf. So that's where that's why you see some space up there on that one, because I pulled this one off. Sensational. They reissued this. If you have any interest in this, they reissued this in a more economic version. It's a little bit smaller than this. Quite frankly, this was a limited version, and the Blu-ray cases are a little bit slimmer than this, but you can still get this set. It's still available now. It's just a more economic version. I do recommend it. They're all slap full with special features, multiple cuts of movies like on Dungeon Master. So very, 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 very nice. This is why I say Arrow Video is probably the best today at what they do. Love it. And purple is my favorite color as well. So that's just a bonus for me, quite frankly.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that release. My buddy, Critic After Dark, got that release too, and he had to show me the day he got it. He just lives literally like 7 minutes away, so he's a huge physical media guy as well.
Well, it's cool to have a buddy that's that close to you that's into it as well, man. I wish I had that. I really do.
Yeah. Well, Christian, I think I've taken up enough of your time, man. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you offering and asking me to come on, dude. I could talk about this stuff all day, dude. It's what I love. So, and how long have you guys been doing YouTube?
I think four months.
Oh, you're a baby.
Yeah, we were doing a podcast for like a year and a half before then, and then we just kind of switched to YouTube all of a sudden.
Dude, we'll keep going, keep it up, and there's good people out there that'll help you, and I'll be sure to share this out to my audience and everything, and I think you guys are gonna do great things, man. You got a good attitude, and I can tell you're into good movies, which is also good, and everybody loves an Evil Dead fan, so I think you're gonna be all right.
Thank you so much. Do you want to let the audience know where they can find you?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a salesman, so give me a second with this.
Of course.
Planet CHH on YouTube, guys. Look, I'm blessed to be where I'm at. I've been doing this for a very long time. Anybody that's listening to this that hasn't subscribed, I would truly be honored if I could get to 30K before Halloween. I think that would just be a massive milestone for me. And I'd love that. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel on YouTube, Planet CHH, please check me out. I also started a small business 2 years ago with my wife called Unita Candles. Please go to our Instagram page and follow us. We're about to launch. I don't know when this is coming out, but right now we're making the best candles we've ever done. They come in these gorgeous pumpkin jars that when you're done, you can still use them as a decorative item. You can use them to store stuff in them. You can go to our website, unitacandles.com. If you're into wax melts, nobody does it better than us. We do everything fun. We make it fun. We make it all movie themed. We got a lot of Halloween stuff coming out because of the season. Please check us out. If you want your rooms and houses to smell good, we are the best at it. And we make it the most exciting. So unitacandles.com. Go search us there and follow our Instagram page, because we're also about to do some super giveaways. I've got some physical media giveaways with candle stuff coming up that's going to blow you guys' mind. So go follow us there. And if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter. I don't really use Twitter. I don't like Twitter that much, but I'm on Instagram. Follow me there, Planet CHH. It should be easy to find me on there. That's where you can keep up with what I've got going on the most. So that's where you can find me. That's everything.
Awesome. You're a salesman, and I love every second of it.
There you go.
Oh, we'll have to get you on sometime. Next time my wife will be here. Maybe we can get you to come on and do like a little movie live with us.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you again so much, Christian. It was really nice talking with you. I didn't meeting you today for the first time. I hope to collab with you some more.
Sounds great, brother. I enjoyed it.